Okay, so now we talked about there's different types of angles from geometry. We reviewed them, and we saw that an angle can be broken into a part. It's not just whole degrees, but it can be broken into minutes. We're going to expand on this and get even more in detail about an angle measurement. So again, when you worked with angles back in high school in geometry class, angles were only measured in degrees, whole units, because of the use of a protractor. And that's all everything was whole units. But an angle can be broken into smaller pieces. I want you to think about breaking down an angle like breaking down time. We all know with time, 1 hour is broken into 60 minutes. Well, the same is true with an angle. 1 degree is broken into 60 minutes. So we've already discussed that relationship. But you can break a minute down even smaller. In time, minutes are broken into seconds. And we know 1 minute is 60 seconds. Well, that is also true with degrees. In degrees, a minute, a part of a degree, can be broken into a smaller piece called a second. And the relationship is 1 minute is 60 seconds. So now look at your notation, your symbols. We know this open circle is the degree symbol. A minute is this 1 hash mark or 1 slash. A second is this 2 hash marks or 2 slashes. So it's important that you understand that a degree can be broken into smaller units. Smaller than a degree would be a minute. Smaller than a minute would be a second. And it's the same relationship as time. 60 minutes make a degree. 60 seconds make a minute. Okay. What happens in this course is when we talk about writing angles, we can be very precise, and we can say they're written in DMS form. Now think about what that stands for. D stands for degrees, M stands for minutes, S stands for seconds. This is an angle in DMS form. It's very important as you're doing your work in this semester that you pay attention. If the homework asks for the answer in DMS form and you don't give degrees, minutes, and seconds, it's going to get marked wrong. So if you look, when we write an angle in DMS form, we have to write degrees with its symbol, minutes with its symbol, and seconds with its symbol. So the first thing I want to do in your notes, if you go to example 1C and D in your notes, let's talk about adding and subtracting angles in DMS form. Suppose I have an angle that's 55 degrees, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. And I want to add it to an angle that's 107 degrees, 58 minutes, 45 seconds. The problem with this is you guys are going to want to put it in your calculator. You can't do that because you have to understand minutes and seconds are part of 60. When you type stuff in your calculator, all your place values are out of tens, hundreds, thousands. So you cannot just type in your calculator 55 decimal point 417. The calculator won't understand what that means. It won't know it's minutes and seconds. So I got to teach you how to put these angles on paper. We're going to write them down because our calculator can't input them the way we want. So to add and subtract angles in DMS form is like adding and subtracting that you learned in 2nd grade. You can only add or subtract terms that are alike. You add degrees, minutes with minutes, and second with seconds. So the first thing I'm going to do is line this up vertically like 2nd grade. I'm going to put my degrees with my degrees, my minutes with my minutes, my seconds with my seconds. I'm going to add. Just like you learned in 2nd grade, we start with the smaller place value and work its way up. So 17 seconds and 45 seconds. 7 and 5 is 12. Carry my 1. 1 and 4 make 62 seconds. Now I'm going to add my minutes. 4 minutes and 58 minutes would also make 62 minutes. Then I'm going to add my degrees. 5 and 7 is 12. Carry, that makes 6. That gives me 162 degrees. So when I add these two angles in DMS form, I get 162 degrees, 62 minutes, 62 seconds. But that is an unacceptable answer because we know in our world there's no such thing as 62 seconds Because every 60 seconds makes a what, people? That's right, a minute. So we're going to do some exchanging. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, okay, if I take away 60 seconds, that would make me have another minute. Make sense? So now I have 162 degrees, 63 minutes, and only 2 seconds. So that sounds better because we can have 2 seconds. But can we have 63 minutes? Heck no. Because again, in our world, if you have 63 minutes, it's going up to another unit. 63 minutes would really mean 1 extra degree. So every 60 minutes makes an extra degree. So I'm going to take away the 60 minutes and add on that extra degree. So now I have 163 degrees, 3 minutes, 2 seconds. And that would be that final answer in DMS form. So when you give an answer in DMS form, make sure, guys and gals, the minutes and seconds aren't bigger than 60, because then you have to make an exchange. Now let's say I have 95 degrees, and I want to subtract 72 degrees, 25 minutes, 41 seconds. Again, just like second grade, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to line up degrees with degrees, minutes, seconds. Just like second grade, if I have no minutes or I have no seconds, I would put placeholders, which are zeros. Okay, so I'm going to show when there's 95 degrees, there's no minutes and no seconds. Just like second grade, I start here, the far right, with the smaller place value. Can I subtract 41 seconds from no seconds? I can't do that. I have to borrow. Well, there's nothing to borrow from because there's no minutes. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to borrow from 95 degrees. If I had to borrow from 95 degrees, now that's 94 degrees. I really borrowed 1 degree. But borrowing 1 degree is how many minutes? That's 60 minutes. Now think about that. If I had 94 degrees, 60 minutes, would that still make the 95 degrees? Yes. Now remember, I'm still trying to subtract seconds. I have no seconds here, so I'm going to borrow. I'm going to now borrow from minutes. I had 60 minutes, so now if I borrow 1, it's 59 minutes. When I borrow that 1 minute, I'm really borrowing 60 seconds. Now think about this, guys. 60 seconds really would be a minute. 59 minutes and a minute would be 60 minutes, which really is a degree. 94 degrees and 1 degree would get us back to the 95. But now with the exchanging, I could subtract. 60 minutes minus 41 minutes would be 19 seconds. I apologize. 60 seconds minus 41 seconds is 19 seconds. 59 minutes minus 25 minutes would be 34 minutes. Okay? 94 degrees minus 72 degrees would be 22 degrees. So I can add and subtract angles in DMS form on paper without a calculator. And the reason why we want to do this is because you cannot just type what you see in the calculator by sticking in a decimal point. Again, I want to make sure everybody understands. If you take 34 degrees, 16 minutes, 57 seconds, and think you're going to type that into a calculator like this by just putting a decimal point to separate the whole degrees and the parts, you're wrong. Because in a calculator, this is read as 1,657 ten-thousandths. We're not out of 10,000s here. We're out of 60 minutes, and we're out of seconds. So we can't do that. All right. So far, so good? Now, we got to understand, if an angle is written in DMS form, degrees, minutes, seconds, it could be converted into what we call DD form. DD form is called decimal degrees. Now, you are very spoiled, unlike me. When I was in school, we had to do this by hand. So, for example, if I had 34 degrees, 16 minutes, 57 seconds, and I did want to write this as a decimal number, there is a way to manually change that to a decimal number. The way we had to do is we had to say, okay, 34 degrees is the whole, so the whole stays in front. I then put a decimal point to separate the whole and the part. This is 16 minutes out of how many people? 60. So I manually would have had to divide 16 by 60 and get a decimal. If you take your calculator out and do that for me, divide 16 by 60, you would get a decimal that's 0.26, blah, 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 repeating. It's pretty close to this. The reason why it's not exactly this yet is because we didn't deal with the seconds. This is 57 seconds. Well, that's 57 seconds out of 60 seconds. But then to go to seconds to minutes to degrees, that's 2 place values. So that's really 60 times 60, which is 3,600. So I physically, when I was in school, I would have to divide 57 by 3,600 because there's 3,600 seconds in a degree. And that would give me another decimal point 0.015888. And if I took those 2 decimals and added them up that I just got, the 0.266666, and added up to this 0.015888, it would give me this decimal value. Now, here's a wonderful thing. You guys have a calculator. You don't have to do the manual long division like I have to, because there's a button on this calculator that automatically converts degrees, minutes, seconds to DD by hitting a button. By hitting a button. You don't have to worry about doing the long division. The thing is, I have to show you how to use that button. Now again, as I stated before in your syllabus, I'm only going to discuss how to work 2 different types of calculators. I'm either going to show you how to do the TI-30X2S or the TI-36X Pro. If you have a different calculator and you're not sure how to use it, you're going to have to look at the manual. Every calculator is different. Some calculators that are so old don't even have the right buttons. So that's, again, why I'm recommending these are the 2 calculators you need to be using for this course. Graphing calculators are not permitted. You will not be able to take your final with a graphing calculator, so I'd rather you not work with a graphing calculator this whole course. All right, so let's first start with the TI-30X2S calculator. There is a button that's going to change degrees, minutes to seconds into DD. I just got to show you how to type it in. So here's my example, 2A. I have 35 degrees, 30 minutes. What I want to do is type that in the calculator. On the TI-30X2S, I'm going to bring it up here close. This is in your notes. The button is in the second row, and I believe it's in the 3rd column. It is a degree, minute, second button. Okay, I hope you all can see that. On the TI Pro, again, the button we're going to be using is going to be in the 2nd row. It's going to be in the 2nd column. It's labeled the word math. Math. So I'm going to show you how to do it with both. Okay? Let's use the TI-30X2S. You will type in your window. And when I say window, I mean the home screen where it's blank. You will type 35. Then you will go hit that button that has the degrees, minutes, seconds symbol on it. You will hit it, and degrees is underlined. So you'll hit enter or equals. So it puts the degree symbol on the screen. So now you see 35 degrees. Then you will go type 30, and now we want to get the minute symbol. Well, the minute symbol is under the same button. So go hit that button, that degree, minute, second button. But now you want to arrow to the right to the minute symbol. So you have these arrows here. Arrow to the right to the minute symbol. When the minute symbol is underlined, hit enter. That puts in the screen 35 degrees, 30 minutes. All you got to do is hit enter, and it changes it to a decimal. Do you see the decimal 35 and 5/10? That's what this changes to, is decimal degrees. In decimal degrees, this is written as 35 decimal point 5. And because it's degrees, it needs the degree symbol. Now think about this, guys. 30 minutes is what part of 60? Isn't 30 minutes half of 60? And don't you write the fraction of half as a decimal as 5/10? Okay. In the Pro, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. You're going to type 35. You're going to go hit this button that says Math, and you're going to have to arrow over to where it says DMS. So you arrow over twice to DMS, and the first thing highlighted is degrees, so you hit Enter. Now you want to type in the 30 for the seconds, Again, you'll go to the math button. You'll arrow over twice to DMS. Now you want the minute symbol, so you'll arrow down 1 and hit enter. Once you have it written 35 degrees, 30 minutes with the symbols, hit enter, and it will give you the decimal 35 and 5/10. So no matter which calculator you use, that changes it to decimal degrees. It saves you time than what I had to do when I was in school by doing the long division. When I was in school, you had to take 30 minutes divided by 60, and that's where you would have got the 1/2, which is the 5/10. Let's try one with degrees, minutes, seconds. So I'm going to go to the TI-30. So we're going to type in 274. We're going to go to that button that has degrees, minutes, second on it. Get the degree symbol, hit enter. Then we're going to type 18. Go to that same button and arrow over to get the minute symbol. To get the minute symbol on the screen, you hit enter or equals. Now I got seconds. So I'm going to type 59. I'm going to go back to that same button, and I'm going to arrow over twice to get seconds. So you should see in the screen degrees, minutes, seconds. Now all you got to do is hit enter, and it gives you a long decimal. So I'm going to write that whole decimal out. 274 decimal point 3163889. And now on the homework, you're going to have to read. On the homework, it's going to say specifically what place value to round to. On this example, it says round to the nearest 1,000. Believe it or not, guys and gals, the biggest mistake you make is rounding numbers to the thousands. Which digit is in the thousand spot? It's the 6. 3 places behind the decimal point is the thousands. Behind that 6 is a 3, so it will stay a 6. When you write your answer in decimal degrees, you write the number as a decimal, but if you forget the degree symbol, it gets marked wrong. Make sure you put the degree symbol. All right, if I'm using the Pro, same concept. I type in 274. I go to Math. I arrow over twice to the right to DMS. Already, degrees is highlighted. So I just hit enter. Then I type 18. I go to Math. I arrow over twice to DMS, but now I'm going to have to arrow down once to get the minute symbol. Okay, I type 59. I go to Math. I arrow over twice to DMS. To get the second symbol, I arrow down twice. Hit enter. So in your screen, it should be written just like on the board. Now hit enter, and you should get the same decimal. See how easy that is? So much better than when I had to do it in school. All right. Last but not least, if you can take DMS form, degrees, minutes, seconds, and change it to decimal degrees, you can go backwards. So we're going to have the calculator now go backwards. Again, back in my day, I'm aging myself, we did not have calculators that could do this. We'd have to do it manually. If I had an angle in decimal degrees, and the reason why I know this is decimal degrees, it has a decimal point and has a degree symbol. I can change this back to DMS. Okay? Now I know it's 39 degrees, there's the hole. But I need to know if 2500ths, how many minutes and how many seconds that is. All you got to do is you learn how to use your calculator. So I'm going to get out the TI-30 X2S again. To change decimal degrees to DMS, you type in the decimal, 39.25. You go to that same button that has degrees, minutes, seconds. You hit it. If you look, that menu goes all the way to the end. Take your right arrow to the right, past minutes, past seconds, past that letter R, past that letter G, arrow one more. The last thing in that menu is DMS. And hit enter. And now it has on the screen 39.25 arrow DMS. That's telling the calculator, hey, calculator, change this decimal in degrees, minutes, seconds. Once that word is on the screen, hit enter again, and there's your answer in degrees, minutes, seconds. So you should have got out 39 degrees, 15 minutes, 0 seconds. If the homework asks for DMS form, they want to the nearest second, unless they specify. Let's look at your notes and see if I specified to round that, just to make sure. So let's see. In your notes, I said to, let's see, what did I say to do? Did I say to round that to the nearest something? No. 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 I'm looking. Give me a second. I said to round it to the nearest second. So if I round that to the nearest second, I would leave the 0 seconds. All right? If I'm using the Pro, same concept. Type in the decimal, 39.25. You have to go to your button that says math. You have to arrow over to the word DMS on top. Now, when you arrow over to DMS on top, you see the degree symbol highlighted. You want to arrow down until you physically find the word DMS. So I'm going to arrow down once, twice, 3 times. There it is. It's in spot 6. You see the word DMS? Hit enter. So again, it puts the decimal and the DMS on the screen. Now hit enter again, and you get out the same thing. 39 degrees, 15 minutes, 0 seconds. See how easy that is? No arithmetic. All right, let's do one more with our calculators. I have 89.9004 degrees. That is decimal degrees. It is a degree with a decimal point. So we're going to call that DD form. I want to change it to DMS. So remind me, in both calculators, it doesn't matter which one, we do the same thing. What do we type in first? That's right, we type the decimal number in. So 89.9004. Then what do? To get the DMS button, we have to go to our angle button. In the TI-30X2S, we hit that button that has the degrees, minutes, seconds, and we arrow all the way to the right till it says DMS, and hit enter. Once that DMS comes on the screen, it's telling the calculator, hey calculator, change this decimal to DMS form. Hit enter again. If we're using the Pro, we type in that decimal, 89.9004. We go to the math button. We arrow over twice to DMS, and then DMS is the word DMS is physically down at number 6. Once we get that on the screen, we hit enter. So when I type that in, the calculator spits out, let's look at this, 89 degrees, 54 minutes, 1.44 seconds. Now, here comes the hard part. The homework here said round to the nearest second. So they want this rounded to the nearest second. So we're going to leave the 89 degrees. We're going to leave the 54 minutes. This is 1.44 seconds. If any of you watch the Olympics, if you watch track and field, you will see when they run and sprint, they're timed in seconds, and small that is milliseconds. So it's the same thing here. This is a second, it's 1 second, and this is part of a second. Because this is part of a second, as a decimal, it's place value of 10. 1.44 is place values of 10. So we know in our place value, if something is 5 or higher, it rounds up. If something is 4 or lower, it rounds down. So because this is 1 and 44 hundredths of a second, that's how I read that. 1 and 44 hundredths of a second. Because this is 4, this would stay 1 second. And that's what your answer would be in DMS form. So you're going to need to practice on how to use your calculators now, because this is something you're expected to just know how to do. You can't keep up looking the directions. So it's very important you understand, now with angles, we can be very specific. Angles can be measured just not in degrees, but as parts and wholes. The part of a degree is a minute. The part of a minute is a second. They have the same conversion as they do with time. 60 minutes make a degree. 60 seconds make a minute. We have 2 forms to write our angles in. DMS is degrees, minutes, seconds. DD is decimal degrees. Okay, we're done with this section. We'll move on to the next section, and we'll start drawing angles in trigonometry. Catch you at the next video.